The afternoon sun baked the long stretch of Route 66, turning the pavement into a shimmering mirage. Emily adjusted her hand over her pregnant belly as she leaned against a faded roadside diner sign, fighting back tears. The weight of her unborn child was nothing compared to the emotional storm chasing her. Her mother-in-law, Martha. A woman who had turned cruelty into a daily ritual. Ever since Emily married Ryan, Martha had found reasons to criticize, control, and torment her. And now, with Ryan deployed overseas, Martha believed she finally had complete power. She had shown up at Emily's home unannounced, accusing her of incompetence, threatening to take the baby once it was born, and claiming Emily wasn't fit to be a mother. Fear had driven Emily to pack a small bag and leave town, hoping to find peace somewhere, anywhere. But Martha had followed her relentlessly, shouting threats from her car window. Emily's heart pounded as she pressed a trembling hand to her stomach. "I'm not just protecting myself, I'm protecting my baby." The distant rumble of engines grew louder. At first, Emily flinched, thinking Martha had returned, but instead, a fleet of powerful motorcycles rolled into the diner parking lot. Their leather vests bore a bold insignia, Guardian Riders, a motorcycle brotherhood known across states for their intimidating presence but also whispered stories of unexpected kindness. Emily's legs shook as she stepped toward them. The riders removed their helmets, revealing rough beards, intense eyes, weathered faces, and tattoos that told stories of roads traveled and battles fought. The leader, a tall man with calm gray eyes and a commanding presence, swung off his bike. "You all right, sweetheart?" he asked, voice low and steady. Emily swallowed hard. "Please," she whispered, voice breaking. "I need help. My mother-in-law is trying to take my baby. She's been chasing me for hours. She says I'm not fit. She says," her voice cracked as tears streamed down her cheeks. The bikers glanced at one another. Their expressions hardened, not with anger toward Emily, but with a protective spark. "What's your name?" the leader asked. "Emily. I'm Wolf," he said gently. "And these are my brothers. No one should threaten a mother, especially not one carrying life." Before Emily could respond, a familiar car screeched nearby. Martha stepped out, face twisted with rage. "There you are," she snapped. "Come back home now. You don't deserve to raise this child. I will see to it my grandchild grows up correctly." Emily instinctively backed toward the bikers. Wolf stepped forward immediately, positioning himself between Emily and Martha. The rest of the riders formed a silent barrier. "Ma'am," Wolf said, voice cool but firm, "you need to calm down. She doesn't want to go with you." Martha laughed bitterly. "You think a bunch of bikers scare me?" Wolf held her gaze. "We don't scare anyone. We protect those who need it. And right now, she does." Emily clutched her belly, breathing shakily, but for the first time in months, she felt something powerful: safety. The road, the heat, the chaos, all faded behind the shield the riders formed around her. They weren't angels. They weren't devils. They were simply men who knew the value of loyalty, courage, and protecting the vulnerable. And at that moment, they chose her. Martha's fury intensified as Wolf and his brothers closed ranks around Emily. Her words were sharp, wild, and relentless. "You can't stop me. That baby belongs with me, and I will make sure she never sees it otherwise." Emily flinched, pressing her hands over her stomach, feeling the tiny kicks of her unborn child as if the baby itself sensed the danger. Wolf didn't flinch. His gray eyes were steady, unwavering. "Ma'am," he said firmly, "this ends now. You're leaving, or the authorities will decide." Martha scoffed and stepped closer, her voice rising, but before she could take another step, one of the riders, a massive man with a tattooed arm named Tank, gently but firmly placed his hand on her shoulder. "Step back," he said. The calm authority in his voice made her pause, confusion flickering across her face. "Enough," Wolf said, raising his hand. The engines of the motorcycles idled like quiet beasts behind them, a subtle warning that the situation was under control. "Emily is safe. We're not leaving her side." Emily's chest heaved with relief, tears streaming down her face. She felt a warmth spreading through her, first fear, then hope. One of the riders handed her a bottle of water and a soft blanket from the back of a bike. She wrapped it around herself, feeling cocooned in safety. Sirens echoed in the distance. Wolf had already called local authorities, friends who knew the Guardians well. They arrived quickly, and officers stepped out, assessing the tense scene. Martha, realizing she had been outnumbered and outmaneuvered, began shouting again, but her voice carried less conviction. Her threats fell flat against the combined presence of the bikers and the police. Emily explained everything between sobs: the relentless harassment, the threats, and her desperation to escape. The officers listened carefully and took her statement, while Wolf and the other riders stood protectively nearby, silent but alert. Within minutes, Martha was escorted to a patrol car for harassment and threats against her daughter-in-law. Emily's shoulders relaxed as she watched her tormentor being led away. She bent down, gently rubbing her belly, whispering, "We're safe now. We're going to be okay." Wolf approached, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've got a strong heart, Emily. Don't forget that, and you're not alone. You've got people who will stand by you." Emily looked around at the riders, men whose faces had seemed intimidating only moments ago, now showing quiet kindness. I can't thank you enough," she said, voice trembling but filled with gratitude. "You saved me. You saved my baby." Wolf nodded. "It's what we do. Look after those who can't defend themselves. Your family now, Emily. Always." The bikers offered to escort her to a safe house until her husband returned from deployment, ensuring she wouldn't face another day of fear alone. As they led her to a waiting car, Emily felt a mixture of awe and relief. She had thought the road ahead was dark and lonely, but now, with the guardians at her side, she could finally see light, and the promise of a peaceful life with her unborn child. On that hot stretch of Route 66, Emily realized something profound. Sometimes, protection comes from the most unexpected places. And sometimes, courage isn't about fighting alone, it's about letting others fight for you, too.